Hey, what's up guys, welcome to FindGap, and in today's video I'm going to teach you how you can create this type of futuristic gradient button using Tailwind CSS in your React.js application. So without any delay, let's start. So first of all, you can see that I have opened my page.tsx file which exists inside my app component. You can see that this is my app folder, and inside this I have this page.txx file. So then you can see I have already created a folder with the name of components. Inside this I will create my component with the name futuristic gradient button.tsx. Okay, so here I will type rfce. I have already installed an extension, so once I will press enter, it will create a basic React component. Then I will name this like futuristic gradient button. So that's it. Now simply I will import this component in my app.tsx. So I will type import futuristic gradient button, and here I will create a div. Inside this I'm going to paste this component like this. You can see that. So in my terminal, you can open the terminal from here. You can see my app is already running. Let me press Ctrl C to terminal the app, CLS to clear this console, and then npm run dev to again run this application. So I will press Ctrl enter. Now you can see that we have simply this futuristic gradient button. This is just simple text. Okay, now let me minimize this, and here I will just type some simple classes, which is flex, justify, center, items center, and width screen and height screen. That's it. Basically these 5 classes are to align my button exactly in the center position of my screen. So I have defined height and width full for this div, and then use CSS flexbox system to center my button. Okay, so these are Tailwind CSS classes. Now let me close this as well, because we have to actually write our button code here. So to make this type of design, first of all, the structure of HTML is very important. Okay, so you need to create this type of structure. So first of all, I will type here a element, a opening tag, and a closing tag, and here I will define an I element, and again then I need to define an I element, and then inside this I need to define a span element which will say contact me. Okay, so here I will define the href. I will place this in double quotes. Okay, you can see that this is going to be our HTML structure for this button, because when you design your HTML using CSS, your HTML structure plays a very important role in designing. Okay, so here you can see that this is my HTML structure. Now we will write the Tailwind CSS classes for this button. Okay, let me open this in such a way so you can also see the output on the real time. So first of all, to the a element, I'm going to define a class, a relative inline block. Then we will define the height of the button. Let me define this to 40 pixel. Okay, you can also see I have zoomed in my output to 300%, so you can view it properly, but originally this is our width and height of our button. So let me zoom in so you can see very easily in the video. And then we need to define the width for this button, so I will define 150 pixel. And okay, then to the I element we need to define the following classes. The first one is absolute. Okay, so then after absolute I will type minus inset minus 2 pixel. Basically this property is a shorthand property to top, right, bottom, and left, because we have defined position absolute. So instead of defining 4 properties, we can define using inset, and you can see. And then I will type display block and rounded 3 pixel. So this is going to be a border radius for this, and then a bg color like bg red -900. Okay, you can see that. So basically this is the I that we have defined. You can see that it is a little bit smaller than our button. If I will define this 5 pixel inset, you can see that now it is going bigger and more bigger. Okay, but we need it 2 pixel. Then after defining this color, I will define a custom gradient for this. So in Tailwind CSS you define gradient like this, bg hyphen, then you will type these brackets. Inside this I will type linear gradient, and then I will type small opening and closing bracket. Inside this, first of all, we need to type the direction, which is going to be 45 degree, and then I will type comma, and then I suppose I want to use a built-in Tailwind CSS color, so I will simply type theme, and then again small bracket, colors dot gray dot 200. You can see that the gradient, and then I will define the second color, which is going to be this color code 0E15. Okay, and then again I will type comma, and the last color is going to be, okay, gradient is not applying. It looks there is something problem in our gradient. Okay, here we have spaces, so spaces are not allowed, so I will remove these spaces. So now you can see that by using this I element we have created this type of gradient. Next, similarly we need to give classes to this I element, so I will type here class. So first class would be absolute, and then the same minus inset -2, or, and then display would be block, rounded would be 3 pixel. So until here we are using same CSS properties that we use for this, only this properties is changed a little bit. And then similarly I will define a background color bg red -900, and in the last, what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose a gradient color with different values. So you can see that now I'm using this gradient color. Okay, so this is the second gradient color that I have used, and this is the first gradient color that I have used. Only the difference is of the color values that I have chosen. Okay, so then in the last I will define here one more value, which is going to be blur -large. Okay, now you can see that once you will blur this, it will look like there is a light around the button. And next we have the final part, which is we need to define the classes for our this pen element. To this pen element I will define the following classes, which are going to be absolute and top -0, left -0, display flags, height would be full and width would be full, and justify center to center the text of the button, and items center to center vertically to our text, and similarly overflow would be hidden. And then we need to give a border radius, which is going to be rounded 3 pixel. This is a border radius. And then I will type here, define a border -1 pixel, and then border is going to be solid. So this is a border style. You can see that we have a solid white button, and then I will define the color of the border using border hyphen. So I'm going to use this color code. Obviously according to your theme you can choose your own colors. And then we need to define a background for this button, so I will type here bg hyphen, and because I'm going to define a custom color, so I will type here RGBA. Inside this I will type following values 14, 21, 56 and 0.65. now you can see that we have this type of background color for our button. And then we need to type some letter spacing for our button, so I will type tracking -2 pixel. Okay, now you can see that inside our this text we have a little bit letter spacing. And then I'm going to define the text color, which is going to be white. And then we need to define a before element for this, so I will type here content hyphen, we are going to define the empty content for our before. And then for instance we want to define a before style. So how you will do this in Tailwind CSS, first of all you will type before and then colon, and then style you will define here, which will be considered as a before element style. So first of all let me type here top position is going to be absolute, and then before here we need to type e top -0, and then before left would be -50%, so that's why before left I have write the minus keyword. Okay, so -50%, that's it. And then before height would be full, and then before width would be full, and next I need to define a background color for this. So first of all I will type before colon bg hyphen, and inside this bracket I am going to choose this specific color code, which is this one. You can see that. So now this is the property that will realize you what we have built using before. So I will type here before skew x and 25 degree. Now you can see that, you can see this. And okay, here we inside this, because we have defined minus here, so here we don't need to define the minus keyword. Okay, so I will type left hyphen like so. Now you can see that this is the style that we build using before, so it is 50% to the left. So because we have give overflow hidden to this button, so that's why you are unable to see this. You can see that basically this is at this position, because we have defined overflow hidden, so that's why user will unable to see the overflows part. And in the last I will add a little bit hover animation. So I will go to a element class section, and here I will define hover scale 0.9. Now you can see that, but also I will define some transition for this transition, and duration of the transition would be 300 millisecond. And now you can see that this is a smooth transition. So friends, let me move in on a big screen. You can see that this was the method that how you can create a futuristic gradient button using Tailwind CSS. You can build this in either React, or if you are using a simple Tailwind CSS, then you can also use this. And if you're using if you're building Next.js application like me, you can also build this. So hopefully this video will be helpful for you. Let me open a big screen, and if you want to see the full code, you can pause this video and see here. Let me okay, you can see that basically this is our full code. And finally, thanks for watching.